Okay. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the City of Waukegan, July 16th City Council meeting. I'm sorry, take that back. Are we the 19th? We are on the 19th. I'll let everybody kind of get settled when are you ready to go?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, roll call, please.
Alderman Newsom. Alderman Tempest. Present. Alderman Needham. Alderman Larson. Present. Alderman Rivera. Present. Alderman Cunningham. Present. Alderman Conken. Present. Alderman Moiseo. Present. Alderman Figueroa. Present.
Thank you. All present accounted for. We have a quorum for this evening. If you would all please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And if you remain standing, please, for a moment of silence. Thank you. Well, I have a few quick comments I'd like to make under Mayor's comments. One is that we're going to be reviewing public comment for the City Council meetings in the future. There's some consideration of the possibility that what we'll do is to prevent some of the sidebar things that have gone on and distractions. What we will probably do is ask that, if at all possible, comments in the future, not tonight's meeting, but in future meetings, be kept germane to items that are on the agenda for the evening. That way we can kind of keep ourselves focused on city business and dealing with the issues at hand. The first thing I'd like to bring up is the success of Scoop the Loop. I want to thank all of the business people, Main Street, everybody that was involved in making this kind of informal ad hoc Scoop the Loop so successful. It was a real good turnout. We had anywhere from 800 to 900 people. We had no trouble. We did have some of our plainclothes officers down in Genesee Street, but there really was no need for it. Everybody did a great job. I had to chase a few people back and forth who were carrying open containers of alcohol out of the prescribed areas, but you know, it was really it was great because no one said anything. They just said, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't notice," and they went right back to where they belonged, and everything went well. So we'll be talking to Main Street and others to see how we can do this several more times this year. I think, though, that there was a certain degree of organization to it, which we hadn't anticipated, and that does kick in some requirements and things regarding the City of Waukegan, regarding Development Review Board, payment for police services, things like that. And we have time to deal with this, so I think we'll be able to find a way to make it happen and make it successful again. I think the businesses downtown were very happy with the way things went. I know Greentown had a great crowd. I think that Brick had good crowd for their music. And we'd like to expand on that, make sure all of the restaurants and business owners downtown are able to dip into the till, as it were, for all the people that were down there. So again, it was great, safe. Thanks to the chief and his guys for helping out. Police chief, the fire chief were down there, myself. We had some of the aldermen that came down. I know I saw Tommy down there. I think that I might have seen Pat Needham. Greg, you were down there, weren't you?
No.
Oh, you didn't make it? Okay. But it was Rick, I think I saw you down there, and Larry was down there, so we appreciate your being down and taking part in it. And again, for our downtown businesses, I think this was a good little boost for their economy, as it were. So hopefully we'll be able to do it again. The second thing that I have to talk about is a little bit less positive. Last week, the Waukegan Chamber of Commerce hosted an event down at the Waukegan Yacht Club, where they invited to the city of Waukegan all the surrounding chambers to come down to the yacht club enjoy some food and beverage there, and then from there to move down to the beach for the community concert. And unfortunately, what they arrived on the beach to see was something that we all, I'm sure, should find unacceptable. It's something that will not be tolerated again in the future, and that was 200 or around 200 young people down there following the funeral of an individual who was slain in the Ramada Inn gambling incident, and were drinking, carrying on, swearing and yelling, interfering with the concert, and giving this city not just a bad reputation, but just think of it. All of these chamber people all over Lake County being faced with that kind of activity on our beachfront is unacceptable. We have a hard enough time in this city with our brand identity being damaged and trying to patch that up, but to have these 200 or so kids thinking that anything goes, that you can just gather on our lakefront and behave in such a fashion, is something that we won't tolerate. And I'm hoping that the word comes out from tonight's meeting that what occurred on that night at the beachfront is the only and the last time it occurs in this city. We will not tolerate large-scale gatherings and gang activity and interruption of planned events. I can't tell you how brokenhearted I was when I received the phone call that this had occurred in front of all of these business people around Lake County. We had relied on this event to bring people into our city, to see how good of a place it is, how good the people are that live here, and how we all can behave ourselves and get along. And the actions of not just a few, but many that evening destroyed all of those efforts by the Chamber of Commerce and the people that had worked so hard to make that event successful. So the word should go out from tonight on that the rest of the summer and beyond, from now on, while I serve as mayor, we will have no tolerance for that sort of behavior in the city of Waukegan by anybody. Because we are struggling to rebuild this city. We are struggling to attract businesses here, to rebuild the middle class. And when you have events like that occurring, that just undoes untold hours and thousands of dollars of our efforts to make Waukegan a better place. So if the paper's here tonight, I hope you print this. It will never be allowed to happen again. We will have no wilding incidents in this city while I am the mayor of Waukegan, and our good police force is out there, and they will be prepared to quell any such incidents in the future, and arrests will be made if anything like that happens again anywhere in the city of Waukegan. And I apologize, but it gets me very angry to have this kind of damage done to my community and for our reputation to be tarnished like this. So I'm warning you, the gloves are off. It happens again. I don't care if we have to fill our jail up and the sheriff's jail up and the next city's jails up. We're going to grab people and we're going to arrest them and we're going to make sure they're charged, because this sort of stuff just cannot happen again. So that concludes my remarks. We will go into audience time.
Your Honor, I will
yes, Alderman.
I will say this. I want to be very clear. Whatever happened had nothing to do with the young man who was slain. Nothing to do with that young man who was slain. I know this young man personally over the last year and a half down at the YMCA on Western Avenue. He attends it every day. He carried himself like a young man from Waukegan should. So I don't know where that came from. They left there. But that young man and his family are great people from the city of Waukegan. I just want that to be very clear.
Well,
And
I appreciate
and I
all of
share
it.
your frustration with those things.
That the intel that we got was that it was directly related to a funeral that had occurred that day.
Okay. well,
And so that's what we were told, and it was related. But,
I'm
and then
speaking
this
on
is
behalf of
to be in no way considered to be disparaging upon that young fellow who was killed.
Thank you, Your Honor. That's the message.
He should
the
not,
clarity.
his reputation shouldn't suffer
Absolutely.
for the actions of these other individuals.
Absolutely.
So I appreciate that comment.
Thank you very much.
All right, public comment. First up would be Mr. Hank and Mrs. Beverly Bogdala, 1601 Alexander Court. If you please come to the podium.
Thank you, Mayor. My wife and I come here tonight to acknowledge how fortunate we've been in this city with many, many different aspects. In fact, I may even start calling Mayor Sabanjan the Rock. But anyway, we've gone through a lot of trials and tribulations through the years. And I remember all the chiefs of police since 1950, and even before that, but not too far. We were kids at the time. And the trials and tribulations I seem to remember most vividly is when Chief John Delavelli served. He went through the riots. He went through the police strike. And Alderman Tempest and Alderman Figueroa were here at the time just as we were. But the Delavellis didn't only go through those trials and tribulations. Like Beverly and I, they lost a daughter through those years. So they really had it tough, but he went on and on. I remember George Bridges. I remember Chief Juarez, who served for a short time. And he's memorialized at the school out there in Buttrick. We've gone through a lot of people that served and served so well. I recall when Chief Biang was nominated, the Chicago Tribune called and asked if we could say some words about Chief Biang. We did. At that time, we were having problems in our neighborhood. We had about 19 boys living in a house on our block and one girl. Well, I shouldn't say boys, young men. They were in their early 20s. We had a lot of problems with them. And Chief Biang, and then our good friend policeman, Chief Yancey, and the chief that also passed away, who was a captain at the time, Chief Rickman. It took all these people to help, and help they did. We come here tonight to acknowledge all those good works and good deeds that we received from our police department. You know, we go through life and sometimes it's too late to acknowledge the acknowledgments we should make. Now, Saturday morning, I was having my coffee. My wife came in crying. She read the paper about Chief Yancey. He's one of the finest people I've ever met. But I thank the wisdom of this mayor and council. They picked his replacement for retirement with another good man, Deputy Chief Greathouse. There were many to choose from, and they made a good choice. And we just want to say that we had lunch with Chief Yancey last Wednesday. And there was Duncan Henderson from the Port Authority with us. And when our meal was served, Chief Yancey bowed his head in prayer. We'll never forget this man. Thank you.
Thank you, Hank. Appreciate the sentiments. Mr. Chris Blanks, 409 Oak Street, Waukegan.
Mayor, City Council. Brother Blanks, 409 Oak Street, Waukegan. Mayor, I know at one point you had mentioned possibly a federal investigation into the accountability of the city deficit as well as the mishandling of the taxpayers' funds. And I would like to know if that investigation have been initiated or when.
Mr. Blanks, and I'll kind of go against protocol because normally we don't do the back and forth between the dais and the comment, the public comment. But truthfully, I can tell you that the contacts have been made, and that's about as far as I can tell you at this point. Things will begin moving forward.
Okay, good.
That's the best I can tell you.
I think that's important as far as with the development of the city and trying to get some of that funding accounted for. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. David Palmer, 260 Stanley, Waukegan.
Yeah, good evening, Mr. Mayor, Alderman. My name is Dave Palmer. I live at 260 Stanley. I work at BRP, Bombardier. I'm a metallurgical engineer. I'm here because of the beach closure. It's presented some difficulties for our operations, having the gate closed in the mornings until 10 a.m. Obviously, most of us arrive at work before 10 a.m. We do all have the gate code, so we can get in. The issue is more with truckers, suppliers, and people who we have visiting us who don't necessarily have the gate code. We had been told by the city that the gate would be opened at 6:45 a.m. That seems like it's been done sporadically, but not on a regular basis. Some days it's opened early, some days it's not. But I'm not really here to represent BRP or any of my coworkers. I'm really here to represent myself. And just speaking for myself, the beach is a great asset of the city. It really, if I wanted to boil it down to one single reason of why I decided to move to the city and not somewhere else, the beach is the reason. And I really think that having the beach hours so short from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. is it's a really sad thing, and it's a really sad thing and speaks very poorly, I think, of our civic leadership that we can't come up with a better solution than that. So that's what I'm going to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I will say that we'll make sure that that gate is opened in the morning for the truckers and the workers coming in there. We'll get on that. So it was, I think it's just something that was new, so it may have been a little bit sporadic, but we'll do our best to make sure it's consistent. Okay, thank you. Ms. Lisa May, 402 Glendenning.
Hi, and I appreciate the opportunity to speak regarding the new rule. I'm here to talk about the beach. I represent Friends of Waukegan Beach. And a lot of positive things have been happening at our beach this summer, and I wanted to thank the city. We see a lot more garbage cans in the parking lots. Garbage cans have been placed on the South Beach, Swimming Beach, and I really think it's helping curbing our trash issues. My group and a lot of people that have kind of joined us, we're doing regular pickups every time we go down there now, and it's really gotten better and better each week as we go along. So I really think that it's kind of catching on, and when people see just normal beachgoers picking up the trash, it kind of sends a message to them, and it's kind of contagious, because we pick up and then we sit down and enjoy our day. So people see us doing it. We're not city employees. We're just volunteers. So I think that's great. The increased signage is good. The increased police presence, really appreciate that. Guys walking the beat on the beach, it's fantastic. I mean, just his mere presence. He's not hassling people. He's not going through their coolers. He's just making sure people are behaving themselves and talking to the jet skiers. We appreciate it so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Yancey. So the garbage situation is much improved. We appreciate it. I was there on Tuesday night. I was the tour guide for the bus that was bringing the chamber members from the yacht club to the beach, and my heart was broken as well. Maybe consideration for a new rule would be no loitering in the parking lots. Either you're on the beach or you're in the park or you're out of there. No loitering in the parking lots, I think, would be a fantastic rule, and you could enforce it. So on the other side of the coin, I'm getting a lot of phone calls and a lot of feedback on the hours of the beach. The closing time, I've experienced the last 2 weekends, the police turning people away at the gate at 5 p.m. And they're saying they're closing the parking lot at 5 and then closing down the beach at 6. And we were actually physically removed or physically asked to leave the beach last weekend at it's maybe 10 after 6. Police were on the beaches telling people to go home. We're in the middle of a heat wave. 6 o'clock is just starting to get bearable out there. This is a working community. People are working on the weekends, on weekdays. They can't get down there at 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock. They want to cool off at night with their families. We're in a horrible economy. It's a free activity for our families to go down to the beach and have a picnic at night with their family. Why can't they do that? Dusk to dawn, dusk to dawn. That's Racine closes their beach at 10 p.m., Lake Bluff, 8 p.m., Lake Forest, 11 p.m., Highland Park, dawn to dusk, Evanston, 7:30 p.m. I really think that we need to reconsider these beach hours. A lot of people also, older folks, people who like to walk the beach 6 a.m., 7 a.m. They don't want to wait till 10 a.m. to walk the beach. I just think that we need to revisit the beach hours. I don't think that they're conducive. I don't think they're resident friendly, and they're also not non-resident friendly. We have people from other communities paying $20 to come in. They get there at 2 o'clock and then they're told they have to leave at 5. That's ridiculous. We should be able to stay there till the sun goes down, sunrise to sunset. I hope that the city will reconsider the beach hours. And, the only other thing is on September 6th, which is the Monday, Labor Day, the Up North Pub in Waukegan has contacted me, and they're sponsoring a beach cleanup since there's no city employees working on Labor Day. And like FIST did for us on July 5th, on September 6th, right now I think they have about 45 confirmed guests, and they're going to come down on that Monday and clean up the beach for us. So I wanted to mention that if anyone would like to join. And that's it. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your comments. This whole process is a work in progress, and you adapt, you change, you find areas of maybe you can move things around a little bit, and we'll review this. I'm not making any guarantees, but we'll take a look at it. Obviously, getting the beach open in the morning for the business to be able to get its employees in and get the trucks in and all of that is very important. We'll have to talk with our PD as far as what they think they can do as far as the hours how late it can stay open. I don't think you're going to go to dusk, but let's see what we can do. So we'll just have to have that discussion and report back to you at the next council meeting. Okay, thank you. But we do appreciate everything that you have done and helping to organize all these different groups to be able to clean up the beach. I have to say that probably in my years here in the city of Waukegan, I have seen very few consistent citizen-led efforts in something that is so unpleasant. Usually people will come for things that are fun, but other than some of the cleanups down in Roosevelt Park and things like that, I think this has been a very consistent effort, and we're very appreciative of it. But we're limited to certain things, and we'll do the best we can. But I will say that we have begun the initial stages of conversations with outside groups that will help us probably solve all of this for next year, if it all works out. So we'll know more probably come September. So thank you very much. Okay, I'll take a motion to, that ends audience time. That was the last comment. Oh, yes, Chief Yancey, I'm sorry. Please.
Name's on the list.
It is now.
420 Saban. Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council, I would like to begin by thanking you for the opportunity to be the Chief of Police for the Waukegan Police Department. It has been a very rewarding experience for me and my family. The friendships and memories that I have made, I will treasure for my entire lifetime. However, due to my wanting to follow other pursuits, I feel it necessary to retire my position as Chief of Police and as a Waukegan police officer. I would like to make my retirement effective July 31st, 2010. Mayor, City Council, and most of all, citizens of Waukegan, I thank you for this precious opportunity that I have been given, as well as to be Chief of the Waukegan Police. I wish everyone the best. Your Honor, thank you very much, and I feel that the new Chief of Police will do an excellent job. But I'd like to thank you all from the bottom of my heart. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you, Chief. Absolutely. You know, they say you never forget your first. And don't you dare read anything into that. I don't want any of this giggling going on out in the audience. Chief Yancey was my first chief of police. We served the first 17 months together, and I want to thank you for your support. He has done a great deal to break down the barriers that had kind of grown up between the city of Waukegan and a large number of the people who lived in this community. I think we had lost some of the trust in the police department. And Artis Yancey was instrumental in helping to break that down and rebuild that bond between the city and the people that live in it. And I know that Dan Greathouse will strengthen that bond. He will be an excellent chief. He will be professional. And he will follow in Artis Yancey's shoes. And to each his own. So both of you, congratulations on this evening's events. And I just want to say that it's nice to have a friend as well as a police chief who will stand by your side. So thank you, Chief. I appreciate it. Thank you. Okay. I'm sorry. Alderman Cunningham? Did she not sign up for public comment?
She was late.
What happened?
She was late.
She was late in for us. I think we'll go ahead. Joyce, what's your address?
829
One more time. You said it too fast.
829 McAllister.
Okay. Got it. That's a street I know.
Joyce Evans, 829 McAllister. I wasn't intending to say anything tonight, but I was just wondering that I get all the earwax out of my ear. So Mayor, I have a question for you. Did you say, am I understanding you correctly, that after tonight, no one would be able to talk from the audience unless it's have to do with this agenda?
That's something we're considering.
Okay. Has it been passed?
It actually is a administrative.
Okay. My thing is this something that you're saying or the whole city council?
Actually, it's coming from my office.
Your office.
Yes, ma'am.
So otherwise, the people that we go out and elect for aldermen and to serve us, they have no say-so.
I didn't say that.
No, I mean, no, you're not saying it out of your mouth, but you're saying it. Because if you're making it and it's coming out your office and they have no say-so, then you're making the decision.
Okay.
And my thing is here, and I'm not trying to feed you words, but I'm just telling you the facts and the truth. I think it's wrong, and if you're going to make the decision, they're going to come out of your office, then we don't need no aldermen. We don't need to go to election. We just need to hire one man, a one-man show. Okay. And I think that is really wrong because people have problems. What are we supposed to do with our problems? Swallow them? We live in conditions that everyone don't live in. There's certain areas of the city that is much worse than others. We have problems. I need to know the night before we leave, what do we do with our problems? Every Saturday night, I have to be out there meeting the police on one of these corners because of some of the things that's going on in my neighborhood. Everybody else acts like they're afraid to stand up. Everybody calls me. So what do I do with my problems? Who do I call? What do I say? Where do I go?
It doesn't change any of that.
You just said that.
No, ma'am, I did not say that it changed your ability to get your problems addressed. As I said, that we were hoping that we might target the public comments to the business before us on a given evening. If you have issues that you need to be brought up with your alderman, there's nothing stopping you from calling them or calling my office.
We're talking about the city council. We're not just, one alderman don't make the decision. We're talking about the whole city council. Some of the things one alderman can address. It has to be the whole city council.
And
So my question is to you before I leave this podium, who do we go to if we have problems and they need to be addressed?
as I said, you can go to your alderman, and you can call my office.
I've called your office several times. You were in meetings. You're not there. You can ask your secretary several times.
Have I ever failed to return a phone call to you?
Several times I have called your office. Your secretary said you're not in. You're at
Okay.
meetings.
And
Yes.
then I do get back to you, though.
No, you haven't. Not all.
Really?
No, you haven't. I'm just going to be
Okay.
honest.
Well, I can promise you, Ms. Evans, that you will not be ignored, and no one is to be ignored. In fact, this was just merely something that I suggested, and if the aldermen disagree with it, then we will keep the public comment as it is.
Okay, one more thing. Chief
Yes.
Yancey.
May I?
Yeah, Corporation Counsel.
In our ordinances, Ms. Evans, Section 2-65.1, it reads as follows. During the public comment portion of the city council meetings, if any, all public comments are limited to 3 minutes per individual. Individuals are directed to be brief and concise in making their remarks and to address topics directly relevant to business of the city council. That is, I think, why, at least it has been the policy of the council to require that comments made by the public address what is on the agenda for the city council to deliberate upon that evening. Certainly, ordinances can be amended. It'll be up to the council as to whatever policies they wish to adopt heretofore or henceforth. But that is in our ordinance as the president written.
Okay, last thing to Chief Yancey. I want to thank you for working with me, because if you didn't work with me, I couldn't work with the community. And people, they are really afraid. Everybody wasn't made out of the same thing I was made out of. Everybody's not going to go out there and stand up against 30 gang members, okay? So when they found out that I was sent up, I couldn't do it by myself. I needed the city council, and I needed the chiefs and the deputy chiefs to work with me. And I thank God for you, for your heart and great house. Thank you so much. God bless.
Thank you, Ms. Evans. Appreciate your comments. Okay. Next up, we'll take a motion to accept the minutes of July 6, 2010, regular meeting and executive session by Alderman Larson, seconded by Alderman Tempest. Roll call, please. Voice. I'm sorry. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you. Under resolutions and proclamations, nothing before us this evening. Committee reports and motions. Would like to come in first. Well, Corporation Counsel is going to come in and try to move us again through the omnibus approach. So, Corporate Counsel.
Yes, on behalf of the chair, I would suggest that we have a number of items on the agenda this evening that could be dealt with efficiently by omnibus vote. I count some 19 items. There are obviously other items that we need to discuss. But I would entertain a motion on behalf of the chair that we use the omnibus for at least some of these items. Then I will read the items, and if there's any added or deleted by the council, that's fine. But I would entertain a motion on behalf of the chair that we use omnibus tonight.
Very, very good. But before we do that, I know item D is going to be held over on the Public Works Committee report.
Okay.
Is that there? And hold it. Well, that's going to be out. I'm going to send, right?
Yeah,
Hold that out.
we'll leave that out, Alderman.
Okay.
We're going to vote on omnibus and decide what we take out?
Yes, and we can go through and item by item make sure that we're all on one page. So,
We'll need a motion to...
Motion to go to omnibus.
Motion by Alderman Moiseo, seconded by Alderman Rivera to go to omnibus. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
take it. Just take a roll call, and that has to be unanimous.
Okay, roll call, please.
Alderman Tempest.
Aye.
Alderman
Aye,
Larson.
but I really like when we go through each item on the agenda. I think the public is much better informed, and I'll vote aye after reviewing it.
Alderman Larson.
I'll say aye, but I also agree with Alderman Tempest. I think the people who come here and the people that view the program would like to hear each and every item. I'm getting less and less, interested in doing the omnibus.
Alderman Rivera.
I vote aye too, and I agree with both aldermen. I'd like to see the committees come back to, the day of the council meetings, because this gives an opportunity, for the public to see these committees in action and see and talk about hear the items that we're discussing. When we're going to omnibus, still they're not given the opportunity to hear what we're discussing. But I'm going to vote aye today, but I surely would like to see us go back the way it originally was with the committee meetings before the council.
Alderman Cunningham.
I'm sorry. That's okay.
Alderman Cunningham. Aye. Alderman Conken.
Aye.
Alderman Moiseo. Aye. Alderman Figueroa.
Okay. Ayes have it. Now we'll have them review the...
Yes.
Okay.
In response to some of the comments by Alderman, what we might consider doing is perhaps having a proposed omnibus section in the agenda ahead of time, so that Alderman could have a chance to look at what we might want to deal with or not. Just a suggestion. That'll be up to the council. But I understand the concerns that some items need discussion, some maybe just need a comment or two, and some we can just do by a more quicker process. So I
Counselor,
appreciate that.
if I may speak to the Corporation Council, I believe, doing my research...
Larry, could you use your mic?
If one alderman objects to an omnibus vote, it must go to a regular roll call?
The omnibus can only be used as a procedure by unanimous vote of the
Well,
council.
I'm putting you on notice now. From now on, I will be voting no for an omnibus vote, so don't even bring it up. I will be voting no on an omnibus vote from now on. We did that for 32 years without it. It ain't going to take that much longer to run a council meeting if we run. By the time you read the motion, by the time you get a second, time you go through it in the roll call, everybody knows out there exactly what you're talking about. And when you bring it up sometimes, another alderman might want to comment on it before they vote. I just think that's better government. Everybody knows for sure what you're talking about. So from now on, I will be voting no on an omnibus vote, and nobody's going to change my mind. I made it up. Thank you very much.
The items on behalf of the chair suggested for the omnibus vote this evening, and I'll just run through them in order. And if any alderman wishes that item not to be dealt with by omnibus vote but be discussed independently, please so indicate. Under Public Works Committee, item A, draft specifications and advertise for bids for the Delaney Road water main replacement. Item B, draft specifications and advertise for bids for the Green Bay Road water main replacement. Item C, award the 2010 CDBG sidewalk program to the low qualified bidder, D-Land Construction of Bensonville, Illinois, as presented. Item E, draft specifications and advertise for bids for the repair of the in-ground lift hoist as presented. Item F, to solicit bids for engineering services for various items at the water plant as presented. Item G, to award design, construction management, purchasing, and inspection services to the low qualified bidders for the Water Department ARRA grant as presented. Under Judiciary, item A, adopt as presented an ordinance to execute the agreement with Clear Wire for a cellular tower on city property with rental fees paid to the city of $1,200 a month.
I'd like to object to that.
Okay. Item A is removed from omnibus.
Item B, I object to. Item C,
That's already held out.
Item B is not in. Item C, to award the demolition contract for 316 South Avenue to the low qualified bidder. Old business, item C, nominee for the Waukegan Port Authority Board, Homer Benavides. Under new business, item A, approved payroll dated July 16, 2010 in the amount of $1,412,220.60. Item B, approved bills dated July 19, 2010 in the amount of $2,019,175.82. Item C, to approve all pending applications for block parties. Item D, to accept the monthly report from the Treasurer's Office for the month of June 2010. Item G, to approve funding for Main Street, a nonprofit corporation, in the amount of $20,000 for the 2010-11 fiscal year. Item H, to approve the city's platinum level sponsorship of the Chamber of Commerce for a total of $5,000 for the 2010-11 fiscal year. Item I, to permit the Waukegan Firefighters Local 470... Permit the Waukegan Firefighters Local 473 to hold the Fill the Boot MDA fundraiser on August 13, 2010. Under ordinances and resolutions, item A, an ordinance regarding an amendment to First Rider dated April 2, 2002 to a right-of-way permit issued to TDS Metrocom. And item B, an ordinance granting a conditional use permit to Illinois Central School Bus, Marks Family Real Estate Limited Partnership to operate a bus storage yard with the support of offices, repair, and refueling stations at 415 North Green Bay Road, Waukegan, Illinois, which is zoning calendar 2294.
I'd like to hold E, F, G, H, K.
Hold on,
A and B.
please. Let's start again. Off of which one?
Well,
New business?
He's on,
New business.
he's on new business.
Okay, so run those through slowly, please.
E.
Okay, that's all.
F.
That's already.
That's out.
E's not on.
E and F are
E is not. E and F aren't on at all.
G.
Okay.
D,
G.
H.
G,
H.
K.
K is not.
K
on.
is not
K
on
is
it.
not on there.
Neither is J.
It's on my agenda here.
J's not on it either.
Yeah, J's not on either.
Not going to do that by omnibus.
No.
No, J I had no problem with.
Okay.
K, A and B, it's on my agenda. I have everything.
Alderman, again, just for clarification, could you tell me under new business what you want independently dealt with?
Again, well, why don't we do the whole thing? Easier. I object to the whole thing. We'll vote on each one. We'll start tonight. I just think for the public out there to know what's going on, for the alderman to be able to express himself with each one as it comes up, the unanimous vote is just something we ought to forget about. I don't like it. I never have liked it. I try to go along. My finance chairman likes it. But the research I've done in my little book says if one alderman objects, that's it. You got to vote on it. So I object.
Fine. We'll just go through the entire agenda.
We need to-
That's fine. All items.
We need to address it then because it was already
Yeah.
voted on.
What we'll need to do is have another vote then on using the omnibus procedure. We'll have to have a motion to reconsider that. And then Alderman Tempest can express his nay vote, and we'll be not using the omnibus. We'll need a motion to reconsider using the omnibus agenda this evening.
I would so move.
By who?
I would so move.
Tempest?
Reconsider.
Alderman Tempest, a motion to reconsider seconded by Alderman Conken.
Okay. Then we'll take a roll call vote.
Roll call, please.
Okay, Alderman Tempest.
Aye.
Alderman Larson.
Aye.
Alderman Rivera.
Aye.
Alderman Cunningham. Alderman Conken. Alderman Moiseo.
Aye.
Alderman Figueroa.
Aye, and I agree with Alderman Tempest. There's several motions on here, the expenditure of dollars, the dollars amount aren't on there, and I agree with Alderman Tempest. I think the old way is that way the public knows what we're doing up here. My vote's aye.
Okay.
Okay, now,
Are we done?
no,
Yeah,
it's been reconsidered. Now there has to be a motion that just puts the motion to use the omnibus back on the table, and all we need at that point is one alderman to
Vote it
say
down.
no. I believe Alderman Tempest says no.
Yes.
That
Okay.
ends the omnibus procedure
That's
this
it.
evening.
All right. Let's go back to item 7, committee reports and motions. Public Works Committee report, Alderman Rivera.
Thank you, Your Honor. Public Works Committee came to order at approximately 5:10. Item, the approval of the minutes. There was a motion to approve the Public Works Committee. There was a motion by Alderman Cunningham, seconded by Alderman Newsom. Old business? There were none. New business, request permission to draft specifications and advertise for bids for the Delaney Road water main replacement. A motion to recommend that the City Council authorize the proper city officials permission to draft specifications and advertise for bids for the Delaney Road water main replacement as presented.
We have a motion by Alderman Rivera, seconded by Alderman Cunningham. Roll call, please.
Alderman Tempest.
On item A?
Item A.
Public
Item
Works
A,
Committee,
draft
item A.
specifications, advertise for bids for Delaney Road main water replacement?
Yes.
I vote A. Aye.
Alderman Larson. Alderman Rivera.
Aye.
Alderman Cunningham. Alderman Conken. Alderman Moiseo. Alderman Figueroa.
Ayes have it.
Item B, request permission to draft specifications and advertise for bids for the Green Bay Road water main replacement. There was motion, the motion will read, the motion to recommend that the City Council authorize the proper city officials to draft specification to advertise for bids for the Green Bay Road water main replacement as presented.
We have a motion by Alderman Rivera, seconded by Alderman Cunningham. All in favor?
May I comment on that?
Oh, yes, Alderman Tempest. Could you use your microphone, please?
I got to talk into it, I guess. I don't like something that close to my lips. I think I'm kissing it. Could you tell us where on Green Bay Road so we know where that water line is going? Could someone help us?
Yes, we have.
I think some people would like to know.
Brzezinski.
Between Country Club Road and Greenwood Road.
Thank you. That's all I want to know, Your Honor.
Okay. Return to the voice vote, please.
All those in favor?
It passed already. We're on the next item.
They all were passed.
Aye.
Okay. Ayes have it. Thank you. Alderman Rivera.
Item C, request permission to award the 2010 CDBG sidewalk program to the low qualified bidder, D-Land Construction of Bensonville, Illinois. The motion will read, request permission to award the 2010 CDBG sidewalk program to the low qualified bidder, D-Land Construction of Bensonville, Illinois.
We have a motion by Alderman Rivera, seconded by Alderman Cunningham.
And just to answer Alderman Tempest, we did have, I believe we had, hold on. We had 2 bidders. We had from D-Land Construction, obviously was the lowest bidder, and Globe Construction was the next bidder at $250,755. D-Land came in at $206,965.
And if I may comment, I think this money is CDBG money. This is Community Block Grant Fund money, so that has to be used in depressed neighborhoods to qualify. And of that is not coming from the city's tax money, it's coming from CBG. So that's a big help for our community. Thank you, Your Honor.
Roll call.
Alderman Tempest.
Aye.
Alderman Larson.
Aye.
Alderman Rivera.
Aye.
Alderman Cunningham. Alderman Conken. Alderman Moiseo. Alderman Figueroa.
Aye. And item D, like I said, is being held over. Our Public Works Director is doing some more research on that. Item E, request permission to draft specifications advertised for bids for the repair of the ground lift hoist. The motion will read, Motion to recommend that the city council also authorize the proper city official permission to draft specifications and advertise for bids for the repair of the in-ground lift hoist as presented. This lift hoist has been there since they built the Public Works, so it's very old, and it definitely needs to repair. And if you just order the parts for it, it's going to cost more than just, it'll be cost efficient if we just put in a new one.
Okay, we have a motion by Alderman Rivera, seconded by Alderman Cunningham. All in favor?
Aye.
This is a roll call? Are we expending?
This is the draft.
Draft. It's draft.
This is draft, we're on E.
No roll call needed.
It's just,
Yeah, voice vote, fine. Ayes have it.
Okay, item F, request permission to solicit for engineering services for various items of the water plant. And the motion will read,
Do you have the proper?
to recommend that the city council authorize the proper city officials permission to solicit for engineering services for various items at the water plant as presented. And these RFPs for engineering services, the design would be for the replacement of the traveling screens, replacement of the gas, chlorine for disinfection, installation of a medium voltage generator, a retrofit 2 sludge collectors, and 3 flow culators. And if you need any other explanation, we do have Jeff Buzinski, who can really give you the details of these parts that we need in there.
Well, we have a motion by Alderman Rivera, seconded by Alderman Cunningham. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Item G, request permission to award design, construction management, purchasing and inspection services for the Water Department ARR grant.
it's money.
That's a motion.
And the motion will read, motion to recommend that the city council authorize the proper city officials permission to award design, construction management, purchasing, and inspection services for the Water Department ARRA grant as presented. And this is a 100% grant
Okay. We have a
for
motion.
the things that need to be taken care of, such as boilers for the water plant, electric motors for the water plant, the booster stations, wind generation units located at the water plant, and if funds are available, pumps and impellers for the water plant and booster stations. And again, please note that the funding for this work is paid by the recently obtained EECDBG and DOE grant. Waukegan should not incur additional expenses.
Thank you.
Okay.
And the result of this work obviously would decrease energy costs and initially lower maintenance due to the new equipment.
We have a motion by Alderman Rivera, seconded by Alderman Cunningham. Roll call, please.
Alderman Tempest,
Aye.
Alderman Larson,
Aye.
Alderman Rivera,
Aye.
Alderman Cunningham, Alderman Conken, Alderman Moiseo, Alderman Figueroa.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Thank you. Judiciary Committee report. Alderman Figueroa.
Thank you, Your Honor. There are 3 items on the Judiciary Committee. The first item has to do with adopting as presented an ordinance. The Judiciary Committee recommends, and I so move, to approve the ordinance as written to execute the agreement with Clearwire for a cellular tower on city property with rental fees paid to the city of $1,200 a month with a 3% annual increase. That copy of that agreement was distributed last week.
I'd like to second that.
Okay, we have a motion by Alderman Figueroa, seconded by Alderman Tempest.
If I may comment on it with the chairman's permission. We, as a city council, has encouraged the planning department to make every effort when a cellular tower wants to put it on a certain building to, by all means, if possible, put it on city-owned property so that we would have a flow, a cash flow coming into our coffers. So in this case, it worked out very, very good that they were able to put it on our property rather than somewhere else. So thank you for working on that, Tony. I didn't think you would pat yourself on the back.
Well, it's, staff did the work.
Well, okay.
But give them credit for that.
I'd like to call for the question.
Motion by, roll call,
Figueroa
please.
and Tempest. Alderman Tempest.
Aye.
Alderman Larson.
I say aye, but I also want to emphasize that Alderman Tempest and Alderman Figueroa worked diligently to bring this matter to light so we could ask the questions and ask our wireless provider to reconsider placing this elsewhere, and the city would not have gained anything from it. So thank you, gentlemen.
Alderman Rivera.
I vote aye too, and I want to especially thank our planning and zoning director, Russ Tomlin, and Steve Saberman for being, insistent and trying to place this in on city property so we can get these revenues, badly needed revenues into the city. So good job.
Alderman Cunningham.
Aye.
Alderman Conken.
Aye.
Alderman Moiseo.
Aye.
Alderman Figueroa.
Aye. Item B is an ordinance for amending Chapter 3 that matters to be held over. Item number C is award a demolition contract for 316 South Avenue, that's in the First Ward, for the lowest qualified bidder. The Judiciary Committee recommends, and I so move, to award the contract to Lake County Grading in the amount of $14,850. That matter doesn't appear on the agenda, but it was $14,850.
We have a motion by Alderman Figueroa, seconded by Alderman Cunningham. Roll call, please.
Alderman Tempest.
Aye.
Alderman Larson.
Aye.
Alderman Rivera.
Aye.
Alderman Cunningham. Alderman Conken.
Aye.
Alderman Moiseo.
Aye.
Alderman Figueroa.
Aye.
Ayes have it, thank you. Under old business, item A, we're removing again because we really have not reached a final decision. Pardon? Well, there's no committee. Didn't come out of committee. So I think maybe at this time, we'll just probably hold this over pending future discussions with the Balin family. They're working towards some alternative potential solutions for honoring him. And if they decide this is what they'd like to do, we, of course, will revisit this and at another time. So, and there's no rush. I mean, this was not something that was of any urgency. Item B, adopt as presented. An ordinance approving the local hiring related to requirements for contractors to hire local residents, as presented. Motion by Alderman Figueroa, seconded by Alderman Conken. Roll call, please.
Your Honor, no.
Yes, Alderman
Wait a minute.
Figueroa.
As I recall last week, that motion, there was no motion and it was not seconded. I just held it over. What I'd like to do is send it to, I think there's some questions, legitimate questions, that the Director of Public Works has, and this is going to affect a lot of awarding of contracts. I'd like to, in discussion with and talking with the Director of Public Works, and we still have a little time on this, and I want to make sure it's done right, to send this ordinance as presented to the Public Works Committee for their discussion and reporting back to the council.
Okay.
Very well.
Fine, you'll adopt that then
So
and
is
take it
there-
into your committee then.
Is there a motion to do that?
Yeah, do we need a motion
for
Yeah,
that?
say
to
so.
refer it back to that particular committee? I don't believe we do.
No, the mayor can refer to
So we'll refer it back to you, Raphael,
Very well.
to begin to work with Tom.
Well,
That's good. Okay. Oh, yes, Alderman Cunningham. Could you use your microphone, please, sir?
I'm hoping it's going to be on the next Public Works agenda.
Yes, it will be.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I think we'd need a motion, item B, Corporation Council. You said the mayor can send it back, I think.
No, we were talking about,
Adopt as per ordinance. It says adopt as presented ordinance approving the local hire relation for contracts to hire local residents presented, motion held over. I would move that would go back to the Public Works Committee meeting by council action.
it is.
And I hope, well, no, the Corporation Council said you were going to do it, and I think the council needs to do that.
I was referring simply to Section 276, that the mayor can refer to a committee a new matter. Since it's no longer a new matter, I believe the alderman is correct.
Of course I am.
It would be more appropriate to do this
Alderman Tempest?
by a voice vote, I would believe.
I would make a motion, I would make a motion to the chair to refer the ordinance approving the local hiring-related requirements for contract, refer that to the Public Works Committee for further study. And I would so move, Your Honor.
We have a motion by Alderman Tempest, seconded by Alderman Cunningham, to refer back to the Public Works Committee. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you. Next up is item C, which is the nominee for the Waukegan Port Authority Board, Homer Benavides. It was held over at the May 3rd meeting of this year, and Alderman Figueroa, by Alderman Figueroa.
Yeah, I held that over. I wanted to make sure that he had an opportunity to talk to several of the people on the board, the Port Authority. Homer is a Waukegan young man from Waukegan, University of Illinois graduate. He is a former Marine, came out of the Marines.
It's either U of I or Marines up here, isn't it?
This one's both. He's a two-year, and he's a local boy. Local boy, but he is an environmental engineer, and I think it'd be a huge asset for the Port Authority and representing the city of Waukegan.
Is he here tonight?
No, he's not. It wasn't on the agenda originally, but since this matter has been
He's tired from the
over,
St. Anastasia Carnival.
I so move that he be appointed.
We have a motion by Alderman Figueroa, seconded by Alderman Rivera.
And I'll make a quick comment.
Please.
I think Alderman Mosio mentioned the carnival over at St. Anastasia.
He's tired.
And he was part of the committee there, one of the instrumental people there.
Yes.
To make that a huge success. So, yes, he will be a good choice for the Port Authority.
I agree. I think he's a great fit for it. When Tony brought his resume to me, it was one that just seemed right away it was an easy decision. So, yes, Alderman Moiseo.
At this time, I'd like to just say something about the Port District. I'd like to give kudos out to Hank, because I had a constituent that brought a lot of legitimate concerns to me about the Port District, and I sort of steered him toward Hank, and Hank called me back and gave me a report about everything that he's done and taken care of, and I've never had that from a Port District appointing. What's the commissioner, or is that what they're called,
Duncan
commissioners?
Henderson.
And I just
think
want
that's
to thank
probably
Hank
good.
for that I think we've finally got at least one person watching the shop down there for us, because I think sometimes we sort of got detached by who was down there and didn't feel like we could get anything done, and I want to say thank you to Hank, because, oh my God, he gave me, this guy had like about, I don't know, 16 items he wanted taken care of. Hank had like 12 of them already taken care of for the guy, and they were legitimate concerns about what needs to be done and how money was being spent and stuff like that. And I just want to tell Hank, thank you for doing that. I think
Thank
we
you,
have good
Alderman
people
Moiseo.
on that. No.
And I'm sure Hank thanks you as well if he was by a microphone, so thank you. All right, so we have the motion by Alderman Figueroa, seconded by Alderman Rivera. Roll call, please.
Alderman Tempest.
Aye.
Alderman Larson.
Aye.
Alderman Rivera.
Aye.
Alderman Cunningham.
Aye.
Alderman Conken.
Aye.
Alderman Moiseo.
Aye, for the line,
Alderman
aye.
Figueroa.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Thank you very much. Communications, we have nothing before us this evening. Under new business and recommended actions by Corporation Council, item A, which is to approve the payroll dated July 16, 2010, in the amount of $1,412,220.60. Motion by Alderman Tempest, seconded by Alderman Cunningham. Roll call, please.
Alderman Tempest.
Aye.
Alderman Larson.
Aye.
Alderman Rivera.
Aye.
Alderman Cunningham.
Aye.
Alderman Conken.
Aye.
Alderman Moiseo.
Aye.
Alderman Figueroa.
Aye.
Ayes have it, thank you. Item B, approve bills dated July 19th, 2010, in the amount of $2,019,175.82. Motion by Alderman Tempest, seconded by Alderman Conken. Roll call, please.
Alderman Tempest.
Aye.
Alderman Larson. Alderman Rivera.
Aye.
Alderman Cunningham.
Aye.
Alderman Conken.
Aye.
Alderman Moiseo.
Aye.
Alderman Figueroa.
If I may comment very fast on those last two items, Your Honor. Again, I want to thank our Finance Director, Tina, for keeping her finger on the expenses and the payroll. I mean, she's got department heads really reporting and watching item for item what they're spending, and I want to thank you publicly for the job you're doing. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Tempest. Item C, do we have any block parties before us this evening?
No?
No? No block
Yeah,
parties?
yes.
Oh, we do.
Well, we can approve whatever.
Just
I'm sorry,
approve it.
say that again?
So moved. We can
So
approve
moved
it.
by Alderman Cunningham, seconded by Alderman Larson. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Block parties, if you've got one planned.
as presented.
Sometimes they come directly and we don't know about it.
Right, exactly.
Okay. Item D, monthly report from the Treasurer's Office for the month of June 2010. We need a motion to accept.
Move.
We have a motion to accept by Alderman Cunningham, seconded by Alderman Larson. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Item E, resolution expressing official intent regarding certain capital expenditures to be reimbursed from proceeds of the $2.5 million bond to be issued at a later date by the City of Waukegan, Lake County, Illinois. Motion by Alderman Tempest, second, oh, I'm sorry.
We need to read the resolution
Before the motion.
before the motion. and Mr.
Okay.
Tino just explained.
Let me have the, where is the motion? We have the resolution?
There's two resolutions.
I don't have them. I don't have them. Go ahead. We'll have Corporation Counsel read them because I don't have a copy of that right in front of me at the moment, so he needs to read the document into the record.
We'll start with the item E, the $2,500,000 bond issue.
Which one? 25 million.
$2,500,000
Oh,
bond issue. And these have to be read into the record to make them formally pass. Resolution expressing official intent regarding certain capital expenditures to be reimbursed from proceeds of an obligation issued by the City of Waukegan, Lake County, Illinois. Whereas the Mayor and City Council, the corporate authorities of the City of Waukegan, Lake County, Illinois, the city, have considered in detail the feasibility and necessity of financing the construction and installation of certain capital improvements to the waterworks and sewage system of the city, the project. And whereas the corporate authorities intend to cause to be issued and sold bonds in one or more series in amounts not to exceed $2,500,000 for the purpose of paying the costs of the project. And whereas the city intends at this time to state its intentions to be reimbursed from proceeds of the bonds for any expenditures undertaken by the city for the project prior to the issuance of the bonds. Now therefore be, and it is hereby resolved by the Mayor and City Council of the City of Waukegan, Lake County, Illinois as follows. Section 1, the city makes the following declarations for the purpose of complying with reimbursement rules of Treasury Regulation 1.150-2 pursuant to the Internal Revenue Code of 1986 as amended. Section A, as of the date hereof, the city reasonably expects to reimburse itself for the expenditures described in B below, with proceeds of debt to be incurred by the city on behalf of the city. B, the expenditures described in this paragraph B are for the cost of acquiring and constructing the project, together with any appurtenances and attachments thereto, to serve the city, which were or will be paid subsequent to 60 days prior to the date hereof. C, the maximum principal amount of debt expected to be issued for the project, including issuance costs, is $2,500,000. D, the reimbursement allocation of the expenditures described in B above with the proceeds of the borrowing described herein will occur not later than 18 months after the later of 1, the date on which the expenditure is paid, or 2, the date the projects are placed in service, but in no event more than 3 years after the original expenditure is paid. A reimbursement allocation is an allocation in writing that evidences the city's use of the proceeds of the debt to be issued for the project to reimburse the city for a capital expenditure made pursuant to this resolution. Section E, the expenditures described in B above are capital expenditures as defined in Treasury Regulation 1.150-1, Section B, which are any costs of a type which are properly chargeable to a capital account or would be so chargeable with a proper election or with the application of the definition of placed in service under Treasury Regulation 1.150-2C under general federal income tax principles as determined at the time the expenditure is paid. F, no proceeds of the borrowing paid to the city in reimbursement pursuant to this resolution will be used in a manner described in Treasury Regulation 1.150-2B with respect to abusive uses of such proceeds, including but not limited to using funds corresponding to the proceeds of the borrowing in a manner that results in the creation of replacement proceeds within Treasury Regulation 1.148.1 within 1 year of the reimbursement allocation described in D above, and G, expenditures for the project to be reimbursed for the proceeds of the borrowing for purposes of this resolution do not include costs for the issuance of the debt or an amount not in excess of the lesser of $100,000 or 5% of the proceeds of the borrowing or preliminary expenditure not exceeding 20% of the issue price of the borrowing within the meaning of Treasury Regulation 1.150-2F. Such preliminary expenditures include architectural, engineering, surveying, soil testing, and similar costs incurred prior to construction of the project, but do not include land acquisition, site preparation, and similar costs incident to commencement of construction. In Section 2, that all resolutions and parts of resolutions in conflict herewith be and the same are hereby repealed, and that this resolution shall be in full force and effect forthwith upon its adoption.
Thank you, Corporation Counsel. We'll take a motion by Alderman Tempest, seconded by Alderman Moiseo, to approve item E. Roll call, please.
Alderman Tempest.
Aye.
Alderman Larson.
Aye.
Alderman Rivera.
Aye.
Alderman Cunningham.
Aye.
Alderman Conken.
Aye.
Alderman Moiseo.
Aye.
Alderman Figueroa.
Aye.
If I may comment here on regards to the vote we just took, I believe those items that they want to do will come back to the city council for approval on each individual unit. I think that's the agreement we had when we went out for the bond. I just want the minutes to reflect that.
Sure.
Thank you.
Okay. Item F, resolution expressing official intent regarding certain capital expenditures to be reimbursed from proceeds of $9 million bond to be issued by the city of Waukegan, Lake County, Illinois. Corporation Counsel.
Once again, the resolution must be read in its entirety. Resolution expressing official intent regarding certain capital expenditures to be reimbursed from proceeds of an obligation to be issued by the city of Waukegan, Lake County, Illinois. Whereas the mayor and city council, the corporate authorities of the city of Waukegan, Lake County, Illinois, the city, have considered in detail the feasibility and necessity of financing the construction, installation, of sidewalks, bikeways, roadways, bridges, and public facilities, and the acquisition of equipment, including vehicles, public safety devices, and other items set forth in the city's capital improvement plan, the project. And whereas corporate authorities intend to cause to be issued and sold bonds in one or more series in amounts not to exceed $9 million for the purpose of paying the cost of this project. And whereas the city intends at this time to state its intentions to be reimbursed from proceeds of the bonds for any expenditures undertaken by the city for the project prior to issuance of the bonds. Now therefore be, and it is hereby resolved by the mayor and city council of the city of Waukegan, Lake County, Illinois as follows. Section 1. The city makes the following declarations for the purpose of complying with reimbursement rules of Treasury Regulation 1.150-2 pursuant to the Internal Revenue Code of 1986 as amended. Section A. As of the date hereof, the city reasonably expects to reimburse itself for the expenditures described in B below, with proceeds of debt to be incurred by the city on behalf of the city. B, the expenditures described in this paragraph B are for the cost of acquiring and constructing the project, together with any appurtenance and attachments thereto to serve the city, which were or will be paid subsequent to 60 days prior to the date hereof. C, the maximum principal amount of debt expected to be issued for the project, including issuance costs, is $9 million. D, the reimbursement allocation of the expenditures described in B above, with the proceeds of the borrowing described herein, will occur not later than 18 months after the later of 1, the date on which the expenditure is paid, or 2, the date the projects are placed in service, but in no event more than 3 years after the original expenditure is paid. A reimbursement allocation is an allocation in writing that evidences the city's use of the proceeds of the debt to be issued for the project to reimburse the city for a capital expenditure made pursuant to this resolution. Section E. The expenditures described in B above are capital expenditures as defined in Treasury Regulation 1.150-1B, which are any costs of a type which are properly chargeable to a capital account, or would be so chargeable with a proper election or with the application of the definition of placed in service under Treasury Regulation 1.150-2C under General Federal Income Tax Principles as determined at the time the expenditure is made. Section F. No proceeds of the borrowing paid to the city in reimbursement pursuant to this resolution will be used in the manner described in Treasury Regulation 1-150-2B with respect to abusive uses of such proceeds, including but not limited to using funds corresponding to the proceeds of the borrowing in a manner that results in the creation of replacement proceeds within Treasury Regulation 1.1481 within 1 year of the reimbursement allocation described in D above. G. Expenditures for the project to be reimbursed for the proceeds of the borrowing for purposes of this resolution do not include costs for the issuance of the debt or an amount not in excess of the lesser of $100,000 or 5% of the proceeds of the borrowing, or preliminary expenditures not exceeding 20% of the issue price of the borrowing within the meaning of Treasury Regulation 1.150-2F. Such preliminary expenditures include architectural, engineering, surveying, soil testing, and similar costs incurred prior to the construction of the project, but do not include land acquisition, site preparation, and similar costs incident to commencement of construction. Section 2, that all resolutions and parts of resolutions in conflict herewith, being the same, are hereby repealed, and that this resolution shall be in full and effect forthwith upon its adoption.
Thank you. Again, item F, we'll take a motion by Alderman Cunningham, seconded by Alderman Conken. Roll call, please.
Alderman Tempest.
I vote aye, and I'd like to explain my vote. This bond issue will raise us to $101 million of debt, an all-time high for the city. We need to realize that. I'm going to vote for it, but I don't come back for more in the future. We're going to have to find additional ways to raise money for the city, look for other revenue sources. We're going to have to become creative as our assessed valuation goes down. If we don't find sources to pay these bonds, it's going to be an increase in your tax rate. And I explained that one time. Well, the tax rate was 167 once, down to about 142 now. Went up approximately 12% last year because we're behind on revenue in the economy, and no fault of the present administration or the aldermen sitting here. It's the economy. But that's what we're facing, and I am forced to vote for this because the city needs these projects to go forward. It was in the budget, and I talked to Tom today, and he said he would stretch this over for 2 years or maybe 3 as the bond will allow us to, and it's a good time to borrow money. So I think we're doing the right thing, but it's a hard apple to bite into. Thank you, Your Honor. I'll vote yes.
Alderman Larson.
I vote yes, echoing Alderman Tempest. I think it's fair to say that it is perhaps a historic time to be able to go to the market, and Waukegan is expecting to get a very favorable bond rate when we issue these bonds. Over the last 6-7 years that I've been a member of the council, we've consistently dropped the effective city tax rate to our residents, as Alderman Tempest alluded to. The tide has turned with the economy, so our best efforts to mitigate the overall tax bill or burden of our citizens, because let's face it, there were other taxing bodies that didn't drop their tax rates. That was my logic behind approving of the reduction of our corporate tax rate. We can't do that now. We're going to have to do what it takes to balance our budget. I applaud our finance director for helping us get back on track, and this is a necessary thing that we're doing. I vote yes.
Alderman Rivera.
I vote aye, and I'm going to agree with Alderman Tempest. You know, we're going to have to get creative, definitely in our revenue intake. You know, in some areas in my ward, especially out west, you know, I mean, I think it was a little more than 12%. Some of it, you know, it went up about 18-20%. You know, I mean, but that includes, you know, the areas that they live, the townships. So it's a tough pill to swallow for people that are paying, you know, $18,000, $19,000, $20,000 a year, you know, in taxes. So it's pretty tough. So, but I'm voting aye on this.
Alderman Cunningham.
I'm voting aye for this, and I too want to echo some of the things that Alderman Tempest was saying, but I think the creativity is going to come within ourselves. We have to start looking outside the box, finding opportunities, job opportunities, with companies that come in here, manufacturing, and other means of helping balance this budget. I agree to some extent that some of this is due to the economy, but some of this is due to some of our own dealings. Some of our own dealings with this. And there is, I'm glad Ms. Tina and her staff are here, putting more accountability on people who's responsible for these budgets. More accountability to those who are responsible for these budgets. It was a little loose in the past. It's a little bit different today. Everybody don't have the same way of looking at things. So I'm glad those accountabilities are there, and I hope they continue to be there. But I think as aldermen, we're going to be asking more questions, holding more people accountable. This is a tough thing to be asking folks, our city, to be adding debt to us. And then for that debt potentially to go back onto the taxpayers of this community. So accountability is going to be the key as we move on. More people are going to be held accountable. And if you don't come up with the right answers, then we're going to have to hold you accountable the best way we know how. Unemployment rate is high. Thank you.
Alderman Conken.
Aye.
Alderman Moiseo.
Aye.
Alderman Figueroa.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Thank you. Next before us is item G. Now, we do have a member of the City Council that does serve on the Main Street Board, and as a result of which will need to recuse himself from the vote that will follow. Item G is to approve the funding for Main Street, which is a nonprofit corporation, in the amount of $20,000 for the 2010-2011 fiscal year. And I should state that this is half of the normal amount because of some savings that they saw over the last year or so, the fact they didn't have an executive director the entire time, and that they have been very frugal with the funding that we brought to them. That is why this year they're looking for the $20,000 to enable them to fulfill the salary requirements for their newest executive director. So we have a motion by Alderman Conken and a second by Alderman Cunningham Roll call, please.
Mayor,
Yes, Alderman Larson.
could I make a comment or two?
Please do. Yes, sir.
Thank you. It's been a wonderful experience serving on the board with the fine volunteers and board of directors and executive directors from Waukegan Main Street. Violet Ricker and Jim Donovan have put together a summary in letter form of all the goals and programs that Main Street gets involved with. And I certainly want to express my continued support of the organization. And I'll serve this moment to remind everybody that there's the Wine and Art Stroll coming up on July 31st. That's a great, great event. And I hope all of you here and at home support the Waukegan businesses, Waukegan Main Street, the Chamber, and other organizations like it that really step up and help this community in troubled times. Without them, we'd be lost. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alderman Larson.
Alderman Tempest.
I vote aye.
Alderman Rivera.
Aye.
Alderman Larson, you're recusing yourself, correct? Alderman Larson, yes?
Yes.
Alderman Rivera.
Aye.
Alderman Cunningham.
Aye.
Alderman Conken.
Aye.
Alderman Moiseo. Alderman Figueroa.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Thank you very much. Item H, to approve the city's platinum level sponsorship of the Chamber of Commerce for the total of $5,000 for the 2010-2011 fiscal year. We do have two members of that Chamber of Commerce that sit on the City Council tonight. Alderman Newsom is not in attendance, so recusal will not be an issue, but Alderman Tempest does sit on the board and will need to recuse himself from the vote as a functioning member of that board. Roll call, please.
I would like to-
Sorry, I apologize. Alderman Tempest, if I could, just real quick.
There needs to be a
Motion
motion.
by Alderman Cunningham, seconded by Alderman Conken.
I'd
Roll
like-
call, please. And Alderman Tempest, you had a comment, please. Yes, sir.
I make comment. I think it's very important that I comment at this time. I see you have the Downtown Association at 20,000. You have the Chamber of Commerce that you spoke so fluently about earlier, what a great, wonderful job they're doing. When we went through the appropriation ordinance, we put the same amount of money for both factions in there. They didn't get their full amount the previous year, but downtown got 40, I think they got 20. This year, you yourself has reduced it to 5. I can take care of my problem on the board very quickly by my resignation from the board. They really don't need me there as the alderman on the board. But I do support. I think they've done a wonderful job, Waukegan Chamber. They need a little help. As they turn to a chamber, they're doing a great job. They're taking the whole city, not just downtown Genesee Street. And this council needs to support them a little stronger than $5,000. They were banking in their budget for 20. You asked them to come and give a presentation the other night, which they gave for the second time. Why they needed another one? I think somebody's slapping at them, and I can understand who you don't like, but I don't necessarily either. But I think the directorship and the board are doing a wonderful job. They're relying on $20,000. We put in the budget, I believe, 40. All of a sudden it comes up that downtown, they get this much, and they're only getting 5. That never came through the city body. It came through the mayor's office. Let's be honest about it. So you're making a decision how much money is going to go out. It was in the appropriation ordinance. I think this body needs to do that. I think this body. And I would like to hold that over until next week so we can adjust that maybe. And I can talk to the other aldermen, and I got time to give my resignation to them so I can vote on it. How's that? That's politics in action, Mayor.
Alderman, you know what? You have every right to ask for this to be held over, but this amount was out of the mayor's office.
Well,
since the
where's the 20,000 coming from?
that also comes from the mayor's office.
Well, then
as
maybe
well.
we have to amend it so that the council has some authority, and we're just not dictatorial.
Well,
saying, I'm
Alderman-
going to give them 5, but you people over there, for the whole city, the rest of the city, but this little corner over here. I know they need a lot of help, but you know, the chamber's doing a wonderful job, and they need help right now to keep going. And for what you're doing is literally a slap in their face.
Well, it is not intended as such. Just a moment, please.
It sure comes out that way.
Okay, Alderman.
And I'd like to hold it over, and
You are absolutely,
We'll have
you're
to get a
welcome to hold
motion.
it over, but if I might speak to this issue for a moment. When the contract with the Chamber of Commerce was first drawn up, and as it exists right at this very moment, the first 3 years of the life of the Chamber of Commerce, the City of Waukegan funded them to the tune of $50,000 a year. Now, that went on an extra year beyond the contract. So $200,000 was provided to the Chamber of Commerce by the City of Waukegan.
how much last year?
$50,000 was.
Last year?
As far as
No,
I remember,
no,
it was.
No, it was not. And I'll bring those facts before your next meeting.
Well, it's my understanding that they were funded in full last year, but we can look at it. But, because actually I believe that that was in the budget. But Alderman,
Yes, it was.
I am not absolutely against the Chamber of Commerce at all. I have no problems with the Chamber of Commerce. So, but when you have an agreement that's in a contract form that specifies your term of support at 3 years, I felt that at that time that we should roll it back to something that would put us at the top level of their set sponsorship.
If you'd be
and
so
that's what
kind-
we are doing.
If you'd be so kind as present the council with that contract.
We will obtain it.
I'd sure like to see it.
Alderman Vukovic and I'm sorry, Director of Governmental Services Vukovic and I discussed this at length.
I can understand you want to
And-
reduce it, but you're dramatically reducing it at this point when they're on the threshold of going forward and moving forward and surviving, and then you knock them down from whatever they got last year, which is way less than what they thought they were going to get, way less, and I'll have those facts for the next meeting.
Sure, and if I was mistaken in that, you know, of course, I will admit to it. But I will say this, Alderman, at the time that I was invited to speak to the Chamber, I advised them at that time that there would be a large reduction in the funding going to them because of the fact that there was the concern about the City of Waukegan saving money to protect the jobs of the individuals that work for this government.
Are we going to reduce for the downtown?
The downtown, we have a contract with them which is still standing.
How long is that
to provide them for $40,000 a year.
For how long? And when was that?
I actually do not
I've
believe,
been on this
Alderman.
council a long time, and I don't recall either contract.
I can't speak
I
to
don't
that,
recall.
Alderman.
I can't recall either contract.
I can't speak to that.
I would sure like to see this contract in the minutes where it was approved. I sure would.
Well-
Sounds good, but
Okay, Alderman.
I would like to see it. I really would.
Okay, Alderman,
I
what
think
we will
I've gotta
do is
make
we
my
will do our
point, Your
best to
Honor.
produce the
And I
contract,
believe the
which
Waukegan
was,
Chamber
excuse me, Alderman,
has
please,
done a
I have the
wonderful
mic
job.
right now, sir.
Okay, I want to make sure everybody understands.
The contract was generated by the previous administrations, approved by this city council. It will not be difficult to find that contract to produce it for you. The language in there, according to Ray Vukovic, during our discussions was very clear. The terms of support were 3 years at $50,000. Now, we are providing them with $5,000, which is their top level of involvement with this group. And we intend to continue with that.
Do we also give that to the Lake County Chamber of Commerce too?
No, we don't. Actually, the only thing that we provide the Chamber of Commerce last year was a lower level membership.
And how much was that?
I believe, if I remember correctly, say that again? That was 500. So you can see there's quite a difference between them.
I'm glad to hear that.
But the Chamber is something that I am not against. I think Carol Dorr does an excellent job in her position as director, and I have no problem with working with Carol at all. So if you're holding this over, that'll give us time to produce the contract, which this city council did approve in the past, and we can produce the terms and the language for you at the next city council meeting.
And I believe in the appropriation ordinance, we had it slash Downtown Association slash the Waukegan Chamber of Commerce. I know it went that way because I insisted that it was that way.
Well, we will
It was
find that
inferred-
paperwork and we'll bring it
was
to
inferred that it
you.
was there for them, and I can understand where we have to wean them off. Yes, I
And
do
that's
agree
what
with
we're
you.
doing, yes.
Well, this ain't a wean, this is, you don't get anything anymore, it's all done. We're not nursing you anymore, it's off. I think it has to be a little more gradual, I really do. Give them time to adjust. They're having economic times now, but they're wading through it. And I think to cut them that drastically at this time is bad, but I think if you did it long-term and you told them ahead of time that, you know, next year it's going to be down, and eventually we'll be to sponsorship, and that's the direction we're going to go. I think they can plan more. They may even have to put one of their directors on 4-day week rather than a 5-day week. But
Okay.
at this point, I think it's pretty drastically what we're doing, so I'm holding over, we'll talk about it.
Very good, Alderman. We'll have it on the agenda for at the next meeting. Yes, Alderman
Mayor, I
Rivera.
just wanted to, you said that they made the what is it, the platinum level? That was their top. Now, when they proposed it to you, was that the top level that they were proposing, was the platinum level? What were the other levels?
Actually, they had requested the payment in full at $50,000. And when I attended the chamber meeting and advised them before the entire chamber that was present there, and I don't remember all the members, but there was,
I was there.
by and large, everybody was there. I advised them that we would not be able to do that, and that we would be cutting it drastically. And primarily because of the fact that there was so much concern at that time among the members of the city council to keeping people working here in city government. And I felt that that was one area where, because of the fact that, given the structure of the contract, as it was described to me by Ray Vukovich, Director of Governmental Services, and I have to assume approved by the City Council, that we would be cutting them back. So this should be no surprise. Again, it's something that we'll have to discuss. We'll get you copies of the contract. We'll do our best to dig it up and provide it to everybody. And again, the agenda item will come back up again at the next meeting.
And I also like to comment on the board. I mean, just so the public knows, the board is an excellent board. They have people like Fred Abdul on there, of course, both are aldermen, but it is a tremendous board, so they're doing a good job citywide, sorry.
Thank you, Alderman.
All right.
Fine, that be held over. Now we go to item I, which is a request to permit the Waukegan firefighters, Local 473, to hold the Fill the Boot MDA fundraiser on August 13th, 2010. Motion by Alderman Conken, seconded by Alderman Larson. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you. Item J, the appointment of Daniel L. Greathouse to Chief of Police effective August 1st, 2010, by myself and with the advice and consent of the Waukegan City Council. What we will do is we will hold the swearing in at the August 2nd City Council meeting so that he can have a chance to have friends and family present for that. So I will take a motion by Alderman Larson.
Second.
Seconded by Alderman Cunningham. Do we have any comments at this time? Okay, roll call, please.
Alderman Tempest.
Aye.
Alderman Larson.
Aye.
Alderman Rivera.
Aye.
Alderman Cunningham.
Aye.
Alderman Conken.
Aye.
Alderman Moiseo.
Aye.
Alderman Figueroa.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Congratulations. And again, thanks, Dan. Appreciate it. And Chief, thank you again for your service. We appreciate very much what you have done for the city of Waukegan. Item K, extend the existing contract with SMG, which is the management group for the Genesee Theater, for management of the Genesee Theater for 1 year to July 31st, 2011, pending a 60-day review of changes to the contract language, and, as has been done in the past, prepay the management fee with $50,000 being paid upon extension of the contract and the balance not to exceed $51,376 to be paid after the 60-day review period. Take a motion by Alderman Figueroa, seconded by Alderman Rivera. Roll call, please.
If I may comment.
Yes, Alderman Tempest.
Thank you. E.D. Newsom is the chairman of that committee, and I believe I'm the vice chairman. I would suggest that your theater committee meet in regards to the contract and have a little more input for the city council as to what's going on. Personally, I think SMG does a fairly decent job for the task that they have. I think I have to compliment you, have done some good job of bringing movies down there and getting some things going there. That, I think, is a positive. My daughter had a show there, and it's very difficult sometimes to make a show go there, especially with the cost of advertising and so forth. Somehow we're going to have to advertise better for the Genesee Theater and promote it better. And that's my comment. But I think SMG extending the contract is a wise thing to do at this time. Right. And I look forward to working on the committee to be more involved in trying to resolve this. Thank you. I vote aye.
Okay, Alderman Larson had a comment?
Yeah, I noticed that Noel Kisher put together a very nice summary regarding the contract and the steps we have to take. Now, this is something we should act on now. It is my understanding that we have to have an agreement by the end of the month to continue the service.
Correct.
So we're going to move forward with this tonight?
Yes, we are.
All right.
Yes, thank you.
Alderman Tempest had me a little flustered there.
I'm sorry. No, I did.
Well, we're extending it a 60-day
So we continue what we're going to do.
We're extending it a 1 year.
Exactly.
1 year, 60 days to prepare the RFP, RFQ.
To do the research, and I want to
Correct.
commend Tina as well as Noel. I had a meeting with Noel this past week, and Friday, and you know what? She's really taken on this task. She's diving into it, and I like her common sense, and she's going to be awesome. So I commend her on this.
Yeah, it's a shame she's not here tonight. She's not. She's a little bit under the weather. So, but she'll be back on the job hopefully tomorrow.
Good.
Yep. So, okay. Roll call, please.
Alderman Tempest.
Aye.
Alderman Larson.
Aye.
Alderman Rivera.
Aye.
Alderman Cunningham. Aye. Alderman Conken.
Aye.
Alderman Moiseo.
Aye.
Alderman Figueroa.
Ayes have it. Thank you very much. And yes, the theater committee is going to be engaged in this. We had every intention of doing so from the very beginning. So it is something that we will be bringing to them as discussion items and informational items for everybody, actually, as we go through the process. Number 11, ordinances and resolutions. Item A, ordinance, amendment to the first rider dated April 2nd, 2002, to right-of-way permit issued to TDS Metrocom. We have a motion by Alderman Figueroa, seconded by Alderman Cunningham. Roll call, please.
Alderman Tempest.
Aye.
Alderman Larson.
Aye.
Alderman Rivera.
Aye.
Alderman Cunningham. Aye. Alderman Conken.
Aye.
Alderman Moiseo. Aye. Alderman Figueroa.
Ayes have it. Thank you. Item B, ordinance granting a conditional use permit to Illinois Central School Bus, the Marks Family Real Estate Limited Partnership, to operate a bus storage yard with supportive offices, repair, and refueling stations at 415 North Green Bay Road, Waukegan, Illinois, zoning calendar item 2294. A motion by Alderman Figueroa, seconded by Alderman Rivera.
And
Yes, a comment, please.
Well, I would like a question that I have. Are they going to, Illinois Central, are they going to be registered here in the city of Waukegan?
As a Waukegan business?
I'm looking as a business because I'm looking, remember, we have to get creative on
No, they wouldn't.
revenue. And one of the things that I was looking at is if they're going to be registered here in the city of Waukegan as a business, then they should also purchase the city stickers for each bus.
Yep, agreed.
And I'm wondering if that, because we have discussed
That is the intent.
They have to.
Yeah.
At least those
Yeah, they have
buses
to.
should be registered here. to
That's what I'm
Waukegan.
saying. Now, those
Right.
buses,
Those buses that are stationed here should be registered. to
absolutely.
Waukegan.
And that's what I'm looking at to see.
Right.
if-
Bring their whole fleet down, but those 20 and 40.
Right, because they're
Well,
based, they're
well, if
based
you're
for this
talking 120
operation.
buses.
Sure.
What is that, Gene? 140 times? I'm sorry.
Tina's figuring it out right now.
1,400 plus it'd be
Yeah.
2,100.
That's only $2,100.
Well, hey, something is something.
Better than nothing.
All right.
Yeah.
That's all I have to say.
Okay, thank you very much. Back to the roll call, please.
Alderman Tempest.
Aye.
Alderman Larson.
Aye.
Alderman Rivera.
Aye.
Alderman Cunningham.
Aye.
Alderman Conken. Alderman Moiseo. Alderman Figueroa.
Ayes have it, thank you. We will go to Alderman's time. Following that, we will be going into executive session. So for all intents and purposes, we will have no action items coming out of executive session. So following the Alderman's comments, basically the public part of the meeting will be over. We will come back out of executive session, come back into regular session, and then adjourn the meeting. So thank you very much. Alderman's time, please.
Alderman Tempest.
Yes, I'd like to ask Tina a question in regards to the audit updates. I believe we've been working on the audits that were behind. Can you tell me where we are on that, if I may ask that question?
The financial audits, we're all caught up.
They're cut off.
Yes. You know, we were behind on the audits. Remember, they weren't up to date, and we had some problems.
We're all caught up to date.
We're all up to date, all the way up through 09?
Yes, the 10 audit, we have 180 days to complete that. Auditors already did their preliminary field work, and they'll be back in early to mid-August to do their final field work.
Okay, have we found any missing money? I mean, we had a complaint that there's a lot of money missing, and we need to investigate this. You had an audit now, and I haven't heard of any missing money coming up in the official audit.
As we discussed at the council meeting where we presented the 09 audit, there were several material misstatements and restatements, and all of that information can be found in the notes of the financial statements that are posted online.
But did we find any missing money or money that was in the wrong account that we got in the correct account? Was there missing money?
I'm not a forensic accountant, and we haven't hired any forensic accountants at this point in time, so I can't definitively answer that one way or the other.
Did the auditor say everything's fine?
The auditor's responsibility is to opine on the fairness of the presentation of the financial statements given the evidence that they're presented. And given the evidence that they were presented for the 09 audit, they gave us a clean opinion only to the presentation of the financial statements and management's assertions.
So as far as
They did not do a forensic audit.
forensic audit, we explained to the public what you mean by presenting.
The auditors will take the information that's provided by management. Management is ultimately responsible for the preparation of the financial statements, and they will issue their professional opinion as to whether or not the financial statements fit within general accounting principles, and if they feel that they're fairly presented in material respects. That's really the confines of what that opinion provides.
Yeah, as far as the auditors, we've done a good job as far as.
They provided a clean opinion on our
Clean
financial
opinion.
statements.
Okay, we got to clean it. Okay, that helps me there. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Sure you're not an attorney?
Tina, before you go.
Gary Mason here.
Tina, before you.
No, well,
before you go.
I, as an alderman, quite concerned when we say money's missing and we're going to have a big investigation, and I have an audit, and people are calling me, Larry, who stole the money? Hell, I don't know. I get my thing every month, the bill run, and I check it. I check the bills. I don't know anything. I ask you the audit. Is the audit okay? Yeah. So my knowledge, it's okay. Now, I did know of an investigation taking place at one time. That's all I can say. But the audit says everything's fine, I guess. So we have to go forward from there, I guess. So I don't know of any missing money this alderman doesn't. Just of my 10%, I gave up my insurance, and my raise I gave up to the dog pond. But that's, my wife knows about that missing money, but that's my missing money. Okay, the beach. Thank you. I write things down here. The beach. I think we need to go forward for next year. We learned from this year It seemed we had a contract that says that we could not hire part-time employees if we laid off the full-time ones. Years ago, we had the Park District. We hired the Park District to run the beach, and we paid them a fee to do it, and they did a good job, but I thought the city personnel did a good job too. So maybe we ought to look into next year when we make out the appropriation and possibility of seeing what the Park District would charge us to manage the beach for us. I've had a lot of complaints about not being able to get to the beach and the gates locked, and I understand what's happening. But we can't let the gangs and the bums run the beach. We can't allow that. Hours of operation, I think we heard enough on that. I got phone calls in regards to that. I, as an alderman for years, have fought for people to have access to the beach. Give you some examples. Greenwood Avenue used to go all the way down and you could put your toes in the water. You had ComEd coming through the bridge across. They quit us from being able to fish there. Pretty soon the state park asked us to put a fence across there because people were getting smart and they'd come down their park and then they would wade across and they're up in the beach park in the wild long walking along the beach. So we put a fence up. Then we said, oh, we'll open that gate at a certain time. Baloney. There's a signal I could give you, but baloney, I'll say. It doesn't happen. We've lost access to the beach. I don't like our public being denied access to our beach. I am concerned. My constituents are concerned. We need to work on that. Garbage contract. They're not doing their job. I have people waiting 2 and 3 months for a garbage can. They're on order. We're behind. They call. Oh, we got you. They got to call again and again and again. Onyx got to get the message. We have a contract with them. If they take a guy's garbage can, they ought to have a replacement there. We have an ordinance that says you can't put bags. They tell them, put the bag out on the curb, we'll pick it up. Wait a minute. We have an ordinance that says you can't do that. You're supposed to put it in the garbage can and close the lid and take one item alongside it. We need to get them in for a review, open the contract, and take a look at it again. But the garbage can situation is not good. It's their job to provide it. It's in the contract. Mayor's discretionary funds, I heard that tonight. They still have to be approved by the city council. And I can understand as a mayor, you need money to be able to shift around and put where you're needed sometimes. But I'm concerned, again, as I discussed with the mayor publicly, I'm concerned about our Chamber of Commerce, the 2 contracts that are supposed to exist. I don't know where they are. I don't ever remember them coming through here, but I could be wrong. I'm waiting to see those. And I think you tell people ahead of time, you're going to be weaned off. This is it, you know. We just can't go boom. It's too difficult. It really is. And I know I'm outspoken. And the other thing, today we held over a ordinance that was going to amend the liquor license. It went through committee. I was concerned that we didn't do it right in committee, but we did. I got a good memory. I read it very carefully. I made the motion to change it. I did that to keep us out of legal fees, which we're going into executive session on. Legal cost, our legal cost, it's crazy. The lawsuits and our legal fees, crazy, absolutely crazy. We've got to get control, and I know the mayor and Newt are really concerned on that, and my hat's off to them there. But we have to get control of that. But we had an ordinance that I was trying to keep us out of trouble, held over by my chairman, and he has the right to do that. But I look forward to that come to a vote in our next council meeting as it left the committee, and I will push for that, and I'll make sure everybody has a copy before that. And that's my comment this evening. We have very, very critical time. Our evaluations are going down in the city. Don't kid anybody. I had a house in my 1300 block sold for $42,000. It was appraised at least 114. There's some great buys out there for Waukegan. And the other comment I want to make officially in the minutes is we're getting a lot of speculators buying homes in Waukegan. There's got to be some way that our corporation council can figure out a way to stop excessive Section 8s coming into Waukegan. I said excessive. It used to be in the old days we approved so many, and we could keep track of that. Now they say if they get one from Chicago, they have to accept it here. Yeah, they'll get one from Lake County, they can accept it. Well, we have more than our fair share, and we need to push legislation or somehow, Corporation Council, you're the brains here, and you might talk to Mr. Vick, he might be able to help you, Tom Vick, he's a planner out of Chicago, of what they're doing to us here in suburban. We need to strike back. We don't need to take all Section 8. Not that all Section 8 is bad. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying you can only absorb so many poor people in your community that have nots. And we have many have nots. And we need to work on our middle class community. And if you did the home walk, if I can talk about the home tour, Mayor, we have some wonderful homes in Waukegan in the historical area. Beautiful homes in Waukegan. I mean, the area I represent along Sheridan Road, the land there is gorgeous. It's just beautiful. And we need to encourage more people with awards and so forth for those that maintain their property and let them know we know and somehow give them a presentation. With that, I've talked enough tonight. I guess I'm wound up. Thank you, Your Honor.
That's right. I just want to let you know that actually discussions with the Park District began about 3 weeks ago.
Oh,
We've
good.
had our first initial meetings, and we will be moving forward on that and hoping that we can have this all structured before the end of the year so that we know whether or not there's going to be a management group in place to be able to help with the, but they've made requests of us too. And so it's going to be a two-way street if we get this deal done. So.
But if I may react to that, Your Honor, they want us to give them the beach, and this alderman will never give them the beach.
No, not true. Not at all.
Okay.
Absolutely, that never entered into the discussion.
Well, I've heard it
So
before.
we're
I've
not
heard
giving the beach to anybody.
Thank you. God bless
So
you there.
doesn't mean that it might not have some value, but giving it away is not anywhere near in the discussion area. And the issue regarding the Section 8 vouchers, I actually had a discussion with Waukegan Housing Authority members, and I have had this discussion actually going for a little while as to what can the city do? Technically, legally, what can we do? And we're limited. We can no longer do, we can keep the number of Section 8 vouchers going into our WHA as it is. That is capped. But in regards to vouchers that are traveling vouchers, portable vouchers, and telling property owners that they cannot rent to them. You know, I had hoped to do something called an overlay district in the city of Waukegan, which would prevent and reduce this sort of thing. But unfortunately, it would have been against the Constitution of the United States to have done it. And I was really hopeful we would find some way, but it does not appear that that's possible. But I will say this, that in these housing bargains, lies an opportunity for the city of Waukegan to attract young professional middle-class people to this city. If we could just get our image improved, market ourselves better, and really make people aware of all the positive things that this city has to offer. But unfortunately, we have no money for marketing. We have nobody to do the marketing. So it's going to be a struggle for the next couple of years. We made decisions as to whether or not we were going to worry about existing numbers of employees or about plans and opportunities that we were working on to begin marketing the city of Waukegan. We came down on the side of employees. I have no argument with that, but we are constrained. Marketing is an extremely expensive thing to do. Now, Dave Motley does a wonderful job in his viral approach to it, which is using existing internet facilities and conduits to get the word out about Waukegan. But when it comes to advertising on television, advertising in magazines, putting up posters on the Metro train, other places where we want people to know about this community, we don't have the monies to do it. Maybe in 2 years, if the economy improves and we're able to get more money coming in, we may be able to budget some of that work. But right now, we just don't have it. So we use the tools we have available. Dave Motley does a wonderful job. He works he works very hard, and he's recuperating right now from a little over exuberance in the World Cup soccer game. And we are going to get him some of those socks that have the no friction spots on them when he returns, so that we don't have a repeat of this. But we keep working. We keep trying to find new angles, new partnerships, and we will continue to do that. Thank you. Wayne.
Oh, I'm sorry. Alderman Larson.
Thank you. Regarding low-income housing, I've said this to the audience and in this council before, more than once. I believe the perpetuation of the poverty program, low-income housing, is a civil rights violation for the city of Waukegan. I believe that the communities like Waukegan, North Chicago, Round Lake, Zion, etc., where they have affordable housing, is the reason why communities that may be better off, Deerfield, Lake Forest, Glencoe, the North Shore suburbs, DuPage County, you do not see Section 8 housing in these communities. It's all in communities like Waukegan. What does that mean? It means our schools are overloaded. It means our social services and the township functions are overloaded. It means that there's a considerable burden on our police and fire department to monitor activity, make sure apartments and houses are not in disrepair, etc. It's a huge burden to the social services of Waukegan and its partner agencies. So that's why I believe this Section 8 housing voucher program is misguided at best and perpetuates the unfortunate community, the economic well-being of a community like Waukegan is impacted tremendously by these voucher programs that point people our way. I think because of that, it's a civil rights violation. That's just my opinion. I think that's how we would fight it. But you're fighting the government, so good luck. But that's always been my point of view. Beach closing times. I think the dawn to dusk is really close to where we should be, because that's what the Forest Preserve does. Now, the problem of clearing the beach is a big one. I think that the police department needs to use their ATVs and their all-terrain vehicles and vehicles like that to make a sweep and make it more efficiently. I think it can be done. I think we have people who know how to use those things that could lessen the time to get people out at, the hour before dusk. So I'm hoping that new programs can be looked at, including the use of the four-wheel drive vehicles that we do have in the police department to use. Maybe not enough. But the Art and Wine Stroll on the 29th, Saturday 29th, Waukegan Main Street, we had close to 300 people last year. We anticipate a beautiful evening. And I think we have currently about 15 businesses that are volunteers to be sites for the program. Stop and shop, have a sample of wine. But the idea, of course, is to visit and buy from the local merchants in downtown Waukegan. And you have a good time on top of it. So I think please come and enjoy the evening, as it truly is a nice time. And you get to see these beautiful buildings downtown that we're very proud of. And a lot of people have spent a lot of money fixing them up, making them look nice. Waukegan looks nice. Last but certainly not least, I want to express my personal gratitude to Chief Yancey for his service, for the 2 decades plus that he's been on the Waukegan Police Force, most recently as chief. tough, tough job. He's a gentleman. I think his attitude, his ability to work in a calm and rational manner, not only with the citizens of Waukegan that come to him with complaints, but the troops under his command, is an essential part of his job, the job of a chief in a city this big. And Dan, I look forward to your taking on the task and meeting or exceeding Chief Yancey's abilities, and I look forward to that. So again, kudos. I'll miss you, but we will have lunch every once in a while because we both have to eat at lunch. Thank you, Chief. That's all.
Alderman Rivera.
Well, first of all, the beach, I believe that the beach should stay open a lot longer than 6 o'clock. I want to commend Lisa. She does a tremendous job organizing, volunteering, getting the people to go down there and help clean up. I remember a couple of years ago, we had a beach committee, that we decided to put together to help. I think that's when we put the gate up there and, to help for clean up and have better security down there. I think some of those actions that we did in there should be implemented. Maybe we can look up the records on that and get some ideas from that. But definitely it should be open until 6 or further than 6 o'clock. I'm sorry that happened the other day with the Waukegan Chamber of Commerce and the event. But, situations when we're showcasing our city, I think there should be a lot better communication. If we're going to showcase our city, we should have made sure that before we send anybody down there, to make sure that somebody went down there to check and see, make sure everything is okay. All it takes is a phone call. So, I think anytime we're going to be showcasing any part of our city that has to do with our chamber, Main Street, we should definitely, think ahead and communicate and to make sure that everything is kosher when we're doing that, because we are showcasing our city. When you were talking about attracting young professionals, that's great. It's a great thing, but what are they going to look at? They're going to come and look at the neighborhoods, and when they go through these neighborhoods and see foreclosures, homes that aren't even being taken care of, grass is about 1.5 feet high, that's not good. That's not going to attract any young professionals. But how can we do this? It takes neighbors. It takes our city to make an effort to fix up their homes. It doesn't cost much to cut the grass, clean the outside of the property. It doesn't take work at all. So that's what we need. But that's how one way we can attract young professionals. Again, congratulations to the Scoop the Loop party that they had last weekend. Fortunately, I would have been there, but my son got married last weekend, and beautiful bride, Amanda. I know Lisa made a beautiful cake. Lisa, I got to plug you in because that cake was fabulous, really fabulous. But and again, I want to. Well, first of all, I'm sad to see that my good friend Artis Yancey, not only the chief of police, but Artis has been involved in a lot of charity works that we've done together. First of all, he's a fellow Lion. He's very involved with the Lions, the Little Fort Lions Club. So Artis is a great leader and well respected, among the police, well respected by the colleagues, by his colleagues. But I have to say, I have to commend the whole hierarchy of the police department. Each one of those guys right there are definitely qualified to be chiefs. So my hats off are to you and the way you conduct yourselves. But Chief Yancey, I'm going to miss you. You're a great guy, Waukegan bred. I wish you the best of luck. I've known you and your family since I was, 20, 21 years old. So, I really respect your demeanor's never changed. You're blessed. So I wish you the best. And Chief Greathouse, congratulations. I know you're going to do a terrific job. You're definitely qualified, and we look forward to working, with you as well. So, congratulations. Thank you very much.
Alderman Cunningham.
I need my glasses. 3 things. One of them, I'm going to echo this with everyone regarding Artis Yancey and his ability to get other people under him to get things done within our city. As we all know, it's very difficult to put on that badge and walk around and do the things that they do. So I commend you. I'm happy for you that you are going to be able to wake up in the morning and not have to run to the city of Waukegan, get them long phone calls at night from me and others. So I'm happy for you and wish nothing but the very best for you and your family, sir. Get a chance to spend with that fine young man and that beautiful daughter of yours. All right, congratulations to you. Dan, we go back a long ways. He was my platoon, in junior ROTC. He was the man then, and his admiration and his ambition has definitely led him to a career to be the chief of Waukegan Police Department. So congratulations to you and your future endeavors. I want to go back to what Alderman Rivera said earlier about the appearance of our city. I'm frustrated, and I think the calls that I've received from at least the residents in my area, we have got to find a better way to cut this grass on the parkway in our alleys. We have to find a way. There is 7 foot high, 7 foot high. We talk about the middle class. It has always been said in real estate, you spend $1,000 on the inside, on the outside, and $500 on the inside. We're not spending any money on the beltways as people come and look at us. In some of these alleys, I don't care who it belongs to, whether it belongs to the homeowners, belongs to us, they need to be cut. They need to be cut, period. Find a way to get it done. You walk to some of these alleys, somebody's going to get hurt. That's a lawsuit. Just find a way to get it done. We have alleys in our city. Typically in the past, the city has done it. We come to find out that it's not our land or whatever. I don't care whose land it is. You cannot walk around here where you have grass 7 feet high. It's unacceptable. Particularly when we've done it in the past. I've received several phone. I don't even know what to tell them anymore. So whatever you're going to do in your meetings, in your staff meetings, you got to find a way to cut these alleys. Second, I apologize that I wasn't here, but last council meeting, my daughter was in an AAU basketball tournament. We're working on scholarships. So, in all deference to that was more important. But I noticed that there was a passage of another union contract. Looks like that was very successfully done, negotiated. Sound like everybody's happy. I look back now at the only outstanding union contract that's out there, who we've laid off because we said we couldn't find the money. I don't know what the problem is. If one union agreed to something, the other union agreed to something, why can't this union agree to something? Why is it that this is the only union out there that has been fired? Now, typically, over the last 10 years since I've been here. And I'm not talking about anything in negotiations. I'm just giving you my personal experience. Once one union agree on something, they all kind of follow. Some unions getting 3%, some getting 2%, one's getting 1%, but this union getting fired. We're laying off. We passed a bond. I'm trying to find out, and I need a better answer than we're still in negotiations. When are we going to get a contract for the union that does the same amount of work as the rest of them do? Negotiations is whether you like them or not, it's negotiations. And it can't be personal, it must be business. This is a business deal here. We have said yes to every contract, every union up here except one. I have a problem with that. I have a real problem with that. Now, I don't know where it's at. Maybe it's time that aldermen get involved. Maybe it's time that you tell them, send in whatever their proposal is, what I propose, and we take a look at it. If you can't find it, but we need to get these folks back to work. Last but not least, we talk about opportunities, we talk about jobs. We need to start concentrating on bringing companies to this city. We have a market of workers where small manufacturing can come to our city. This is the best market, I think, on the North Shore, where these small little companies can come up here and give that $13, $14, $15. We need to get out there and start recruiting them, find out who they are. Where we have them here. We have the buildings here. Our unemployment rate is too high. Let's bring utilize some of this, right? And if we need to put a committee together, I'm the first one on that committee. But we got to put folks to work, or our young people are going to continue to be going to jail. We got to put them to work. We simply must find ways to put these young folks to work. It's all about economics. If you allow them to sit around here and do nothing, they're going to get into trouble. That's just the bottom line. So I'm looking for, Mayor, have me, anybody. We got to find some of these small companies that come here and give up these jobs. It's all about jobs with me. Jobs, jobs, jobs. Waukegan is based on that. That is our history. Thank you.
Alderman Conken.
Thank you. I'm going to start with the beach also. I want to commend Renee. Does a fine job with her group and the Friends of Waukegan Beach, cleaning it up. I also agree that we have to do something, make it a dawn to dusk type thing for the beach, because as Lisa May iterated earlier, people get off work at 5 or 6 o'clock at night, and if they want to enjoy the beach, they just can't. Along those same lines, I also agree with the mayor and Alderman Tempest. We can't let the bums rule the beach. It is an asset that we have to promote in Waukegan. It is, as Alderman Rivera said, our front yard. It's something that we got to keep going and do a good job at if we want to promote Waukegan. Now, there's something that I've been thinking about, and I realize that part of our union contracts say we can't lay off until we lay off all summer help, all part-time help, everything else. But there's something that we got to realize here, that these kids that have watched our beach over the years have a specialized skill set that some of the unions don't have. I mean, they're certified by the Red Cross, they're good swimmers that are there for the protection of the city, people of the city. They go down and utilize our beach. So even though I realize that we have union agreements, there's got to be something that can be put in there that if you don't have the specialized skill set, we should be able to hire somebody to do a particular job if they have the specialized skill set, and I believe lifeguards are one of them. In that same respect, Chief Yancey, been a pleasure knowing you, working with you. You've done a wonderful job over the year. And Chief Greathouse, looks like you're getting a new project, taking care of the beach. Final comment, Ms. Evans. I agree with what you said in your comments earlier today. I believe audience time is for anybody in the city of Waukegan to come up and air any grievances they want, even though Corporation Council has interpreted that to mean only pertaining to the agenda. It didn't say that it said pertaining to the city council business. So I agree with you, and I think that anybody should be able to come up and present anything that they feel is necessary to brought to the council. That ends it. Thank you very much.
Alderman Moiseo.
Yeah, my thanks to Chief Yancey. Here's a chief who, you know, obviously the chief of police gives the alderman their cell phone number, but he also gives residents his cell phone number. And I know he gets calls at all hours of the night and goes on calls himself. Many times I'd call him and he'd say, "I'll take care of it myself," understanding that you know, it may be a busy night or something like that. And he was a chief who went out on calls himself. I think that says enough about his commitment to trying to get the job done and to the commitment to the city of Waukegan and the people of Waukegan. So thank you, Chief Yancey. Danny, welcome to the hardest job in Waukegan. Harder than the superintendent, probably harder than anybody sitting up here. I truly believe that Chief of Police in the city of Waukegan is the hardest job. Should be paid accordingly, but that's not going to happen. You know that. I mean, I understand what Mayor Daley did in Chicago when he paid his superintendent of police what he did, because he understands the pressure and the awesome responsibility that comes with it. So welcome to the toughest job in the city. Alderman Tempest mentioned Section 8 and things of that sort. My opinion on that is, why do they leave the place they leave? There may be many reasons, but one of them is maybe they come here or they go other places because they can behave the way they want to behave. If you can make them behave, but this has to be a joint effort between the city and the school. When you can go to school and do whatever you want and act however you want, why wouldn't I go anywhere else and do the same thing? Though, that whatever you want to call happened down at the beach. I happened to get a call. I went down there. It's the same fool's parade that's at the high school every day that can't go to class and ruins the high school for everybody. It's the same characters, the same faces. Everybody knows who they are. The ne'er-do-wells. Exactly. Thank you. It's the same ones. It's not like you're trying to find a missing target. We all know who most of them are. And some of them on the fringe are not bad kids. They just need a kick in the rear end. Now, some of them are. But we have to get back to making people behave. Many times in my ward, I'm sure all of them have done it, you get a house that's Section 8, they can't behave. Next thing you know, you talk to somebody in the police department, they're over there all the time. You go over and tell them, hey, do you want the police over here all the time? Because that's what, they're going to be over here all the time. They're going to be over here all the time because you guys can't behave. Now, one or two things happen. They either start behaving or guess what? They leave. So we got to start making them behave. Understand, we're not going to have this type of behavior here in Waukegan, just like the mayor said. Not only down at the beach, but we're not going to have it in our neighborhood. You're not going to be playing your radio. You're not going to have 15 people over there clowning and acting a fool every damn night. We need to get back to making people behave. And the last one, the beach. This seems to be the topic. Thank you to Lisa again and her organization, and I agree with the dawn to dusk thing. I also think we ought to allow more at the beach. My own personal, you go to Kenosha Beach, bring your dog up there. You can have alcohol there. A lot of beaches are like that. You can do that. But again, if you misbehave, the penalties are severe. And we got one great advantage about our beach with that. There's only one way in and one way out. So if you misbehave, where are you going to go? You better start swimming. So it's, you could open it up for more activity and more and let off some of the handcuffs. But again, just like anything else in life, if you misbehave, the penalty is going to be severe. And like I said, It's easy. It's one way in and one way out. So it ain't like, you know, if somebody's misbehaving, well, we'll just wait for you to come on out. It ain't going to be hard. So we need to think about that. That's a draw. That's a draw. I had a group of teachers from all over that wanted to come down to Waukegan Beach, but they wanted to drink and bring their dogs. Can't do it. They went to Kenosha because you could do it in Kenosha. And I don't think Kenosha has lifeguards or has any beach staff at all. I don't think they do. And a friend of mine goes up there all the time. He said, there's never any trouble at all, ever. So we need to think about that. Coach Tempest is always one that says we govern way too much. We do. We do govern too much in some areas. We need to think about that. That's it.
Alderman Figueroa.
Well, it's hard to follow that.
Well, I saw Balin's name on the thing, and I got.
I know, you got,
how do you top Balin, right?
Balin Unplugged. Real quick, with all the things that have been said, Chief Yancey, a very sincere thank you and good luck on your future endeavors. You're a young man. There's a lot of things you can be doing in the future, but thank you so much for all the times that you took time out for issues for my constituents and for the city, the people of the city of Waukegan. Thank you so much. That's it.
Thank you. Alderman Tempest wanted to add just a couple of brief comments because he had left a couple things out.
Left something out?
Well, I can't believe that.
First of all, I forgot the chief. My God, I'm embarrassed. But I did say things in his office. I did go there to his office and had a special talk with him and congratulate him. I remember Chief Yancey when just a little guy, well, kind of tall, but he made a poor choice. He played basketball. I could have made a hell of a wrestler out of him, but he chose basketball. Pretty good ball player, too. But to see a kid come up through high school, you know, join our Waukegan Police Department and rise to the top, it kind of brings tears to my eyes to be able to see somebody that you saw in school come up, and I remember he was a good guy too, because I remember the bad ones too, but he was a good guy, and come up through life and really make something of himself and do something and care about his community. I've told him about some problems. He even took time to go to a neighborhood watch meeting more than once to explain to the neighbors what the city of Waukegan, what the mayor was trying to accomplish in regards through Neighborhood Watch and what the problems were in some burglaries and so forth, and not to fear they're on top of it, and stood up for the community. And gee, I don't know of a lot of chiefs that would take that kind of time in their busy schedule to go out at night again. And many times I've seen them I'm out in my ward a lot at night too, but I've seen them in a squad car out at night in the neighborhoods, seeing how things are going. And Chief, I wish you the very best. I kind of regret I was going to hold it over to see if you'd rethink it over, you know. But I think when you get 20 years in and you're at the top, you've got to make a decision in your life. I've got to get another door open. It's time to move on. I remember Martin in the back there. He was a cop for 4 years, and he said, it's time to move on. I'm going to become an attorney. Now I'm a big shot attorney, you know, instead of just a cop retiring. So you see things in life, and yes, I think you're making the right decision. I'm going to hate to see you go, but sometimes you reach that point, you say, you know, I've got my 20 years in. It's time for another door to open for me to move on, and I wish you the very, very best. And I didn't want to forget about you, but I had already talked to you, and I got a retirement card I'm going to mail to you. I didn't have your address, but I got it now. Look out. And one other point, if I may, Gojo's Restaurant, the mayor of the Waukegan Chamber of Commerce was there today. The mayor was there, Alderman Rivera, Alderman Cunningham, myself, celebrating Gojo's remodeling that they did at Gojo's. That's at Belvedere and Green Bay Road. Done an excellent job. And I might add, the Gutanis brothers have run a family restaurant in Waukegan, only in Waukegan. They haven't moved around. They've stayed in Waukegan for 32 years. And, you know, I think maybe we ought to get a letter or a proclamation of accommodation for them being so loyal to the city of Waukegan and running a good business for 32 years, and I would like to do that if we could, if it's possible.
Bring that to
Okay,
Wayne.
I'll get the facts and I'll lay it. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you for letting me speak again. What?
Oh, yeah. I spent plenty of time over there myself.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
You all set? Thank you.
Thank you for letting
I'll
me
take a
speak.
motion by Alderman Moiseo, seconded by Alderman Larson, to go in executive session to discuss pending and potential litigation, labor law personnel issues, settlement of claims, and real estate negotiation and acquisition. Roll call.
Alderman Tempest.
Aye.
Alderman Larson. Alderman Rivera. Alderman Cunningham. Alderman Conken. Alderman Moiseo. Alderman Figueroa.
Yeah, let's take a 3-minute break, 5-minute break before we go in. Thank you, everybody.
I'm ready to go.
Okay. Motion to come into regular session by Alderman Rivera, seconded by Alderman Conken. All in favor? Aye. Motion to adjourn for the evening by Alderman Tempest, seconded by Alderman Cunningham. All in favor? Aye. Ayes have it. We're adjourned for the evening. Thank you.